Do you have any challenges in your life? Okay, well, if you do, watch this video. Gotta do a pillow check every time I shoot these videos because it's all about comfort. Life is all about comfort. Did you know that? So they say that like comfort is the devil, right? And why is that, right? Why is that when we see comfort, when we're like get uncomfortable? Because it's not about, getting the career. It's not about getting the perfect partner, because these things are uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable to suddenly start working if you've never worked before, or start approaching people in the streets, But when it comes to discomfort, what is really meant by overcoming it, it's about overcoming the discomfort of letting your mind run wild while you just remain still. Also known as meditation, also known as observing your mind, also known as trusting God and just letting go, So doing that is uncomfortable. In fact, it's probably the most uncomfortable thing you can do, but it's also not requiring any effort whatsoever. All you have to do is just lean back, set a timer for 1 hour, and just tell yourself that for that 1 hour, all you're going to do is just be. You're not going to think. You're going to let the thinking happen if it happens. You don't know if it's going to happen, right? You can't prove it's going to happen, but you let all of it be. And you just lay there still. And you just wait. You just wait for that hour is up. And now, how do you feel after that 1 hour? And then you ask yourself, do you want to go for another hour? How about a day? How about a week? Could you see yourself living like that? And then before you know it, it becomes your default state to live from this observing mind state, right? You get the point. So, and now if you can combine that with love, and you can have a loving mind while you are observing your own mind. So your mind is tuned to a high frequency and you are observing it at the same time. Now that's a good place to be. Now when you're in a place like that, you start to understand why it's worth it to be alive. It's like it's the pinnacle of happiness, you could say. When you have I call it the ultimate non-neediness, because you don't need anything at that point. You are a totally self-sustainable joy machine, which is an interesting experience. Because the love is infinite, right? God love is infinite, so you can tap into that, and you can have infinite love as well, right? So, and if you ask for it, you receive it. It's just like you have to be a little bit proactive. You have to be like, I want that. I want that perfect love in my heart. You shouldn't be like, oh, it would be nice to have, or maybe one day, or it sounds too hard. Or no, you have to really want it. You have to trust that it can happen, and it will. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. So, what is this video about? I'm not sure, but I was inspired. I was inspired by some positive comments that I got on some of the so-called spiritual videos, right? Because if I'm honest with you, I don't like to make videos about all that health science and decaf and all that. It's not really interesting to me, and I don't think that it's like the best use of my time, if you know what I mean. It's like, if I had an hour to talk to someone, I'm not going to talk to you about decaf and quitting some addiction or something. I would rather talk to you about something much deeper, something much greater, such as the root of your addictions, or the addiction above all addictions, which is your addiction to your own thinking, your addiction to your false identity in your mind. So yeah, there are some positive comments here, but I don't really see a question. Just some nice comments here from a few people, and then I was like, oh, cool. Let me make a video. Let's see if I can find a question. Actually, let's see if I can find a question that I would actually find interesting to respond to, because it's not always, it's not always you get a nice question. Let's see. Someone asked, "Are you a psychologist?" No, I'm absolutely not a psychologist. I don't believe that. I'm the opposite of a psychologist, I think, if anything. I think psychology is something that keeps you stuck in the mind, which is the opposite of what I want. I think if you're into psychology and psychotherapy and like studying the mind and studying where you came from and your upbringing, and really becoming an expert in how the mind works intellectually, I think you miss the point. I think you actually dance around the point, but you don't get the point, right? So if you want to get the point, you have to kind of drop the psychology, drop the analysis and trying to understand the workings of the mind, and see what are your options in transcending the mind, such as learning to observe it, learning to just be still, let the run do its thing, and just witness it. And that's all you have to do. And there's no step two to this. There's no step two to observing your mind. Usually you will get like a step 1, 2, 3 when people talk about self-help or complicated theories in psychology, and you have to understand this. You have to understand one step. Observe your mind. There's no step 2. No step 2. Observe your mind. I mean, I did point a little bit to a step 2. You can invite infinite love into your heart and turn your ego into a loving ego, but that's secondary, right? That's secondary. If you can just observe your mind long enough, you're going to get the same insight as I just gave you. You're going to be like, oh yeah, right, I would rather think good thoughts than bad thoughts. Why am I thinking bad thoughts? Switch.